Now, let's get started with making the casing. EasyADA don't have a function to make this PCB into a 3D version. Eagle and Ultrum do have this, so we are going to do it manually. Therefore, we are going to make a layout on the documentation layer. Select the documentation layer and draw a line around all the important components and around the PCB in total. I will import this later on in the CAD program. The important components are the contour of the PCB, the LED, the button, and the battery, and also the holes. To get a contour around the battery in the documentation layer, select the circle and go to the corner of the circle of the battery and draw a circle. Do the same for the holes. When you're done, export everything to a SVG. Deselect all the layers and only select the documentation layer. Now, go to Fusion. If you don't have Fusion yet, you can download it from the link in the description. Under Image, you can import your SVG. Select the bottom plane and import your SVG. Okay, now you probably don't see anything because the SVG is actually placed really far away. So you have to drag it so it's kind of in the center. When you did that, you can see you have an image of your PCB in Fusion. Well, remove everything you don't want to have, so like the vias and the outer contour. And don't forget to save your project once in a while. Great, now we can really start with building a casing. I'm using a CAD program because it's parametric. It's what is used in industry and it's also really convenient later on when you want to change something. I don't know many free CAD programs, but Fusion is free for starters, up to companies that earn $100,000 a year. Okay, first we're going to make components. So, add all those components. We want to have a PCB, a upper casing and a lower casing. And for the PCB we also want all the components, which is a button, a battery holder, microchip, holes, the header, the LED, and the PCB itself. It can feel kind of hard to use this program because it's so complicated and it has so much options. So I will show you step by step how you can make actually a casing. First I'm going to start with making the PCB. Select everything and extrude it 1 mm. Then I will make the battery holder. Select the area of the battery and extrude it downwards for about 4 mm. Then I'm going to make the LED. Select the area of the LED and extrude it downwards like 1 mm. Then select the area of the button and extrude it for 1.5 mm. The button is about 1.5 mm high. Also do this for the chip, but upwards 1 mm. And I also want to have estimation of where the headers are, so I will make those headers on there. First I will make the shape of the headers on the plane of the PCB. Therefore I select the plane of the PCB and make a new sketch. I indicate where the headers should be. and extrude the headers for about 5mm. But you don't mind, I have those special headers at the side of the board, so they're actually in the middle. So bring it down for about 2mm, because the board is also 1mm thick. Then select the microchip and bring it up 1mm, so it's on top of the PCB. Do the same for the button. Now select the holes and extrude it upwards. But you should select the cut option instead of the union option or the new bodies option. Here, you can do it in the menu at the right side. So, now your board is nearly finished. When you go to the render view, you can see your board actually rendered and you can give colors to it, just like this. Make it green, because our board will be green and all the parts will be black. Okay, this is just for fun. Go back to the model view. We're going to make a casing around it and we'll start at the bottom. Select the contour and right click with your mouse and select more options and then select the offset option. Give it an offset of 0.5mm. Then select the same contour again and give it an offset of 1.5mm. If you select the offset we just created, it will say that you could better use the original lines. Therefore we use the original lines. But this can be done better, and I will show you the power of a CAD program now. Because everything is parametric, you can give parameters to those values. Therefore, go to Modify and then Change Parameters. Make 2 new parameters. Give them names as you like thickness, which indicates the thickness of the wall, and something like PCBD. I will call it PCBD here. I will start all those parameters with UP from User Parameter. It's easier later on when I'm looking for them. So the PCBD I will make 0.5mm and the case thickness I will make 1mm. Then select those arrows which indicate the distance from the offset. Make the inner one the PCBD and the outer one is PCBD plus the thickness. Nothing will change, but now they are made out of parameters and we can change them later on. Look, if you change the parameters, for example for thickness, you can see the thickness of the casing change. But we want to have it just 1mm. That will be sturdy enough. I'm also making a parameter for the height, which is 5mm here. It's actually the height of the battery holder and 1mm extra. Select the outer shell and extrude it with a new parameter. Just type in the name of the parameter in the box, instead of the depth actually. Now let's close the bottom of this box. Select the lowest layer of what you just extruded, and then press the Create Sketch button. Besides that, you don't have to do anything, just leave the sketch for now. Now you're able to select the inner part of the box. So select the inner part and the outer part and extrude it for the thickness of the box. Great, it's already looking pretty good, isn't it? Now, make sure you're selecting the new part component, actually the upper part component, by selecting the circle besides its name, and then select the outer shell we did before. We extruded it downwards, but this time we should extrude it upwards. Let's make a new parameter for this, and I'll call it user parameter upper part h from height, and make it 3 millimeters. Again, select out the shell of the upper part and make a new sketch. Leave the sketch, select the inner part of the upper part and the outer shell and extrude it for the thickness of the casing. I'm going to make a hole on one side where the headers are. Therefore I select the middle and, well, make 4 areas like this. You could actually do it in one time, but I didn't do it here. Make sure the dimensions are okay. So the total height of the hole should be about 5.5 millimeters, and the total width of the hole should be about 10 millimeters. And extrude it and select the cutting option to go inside. When cutting, make sure you select the right component. You have to do this actually for the upper part and the lower part separately. Now we have a hole for the headers to pop out. Now let's make the hole for the light to shine through. Therefore we need to know the middle of actually the LED. I'm doing it like this. I'm making a cross on the LED and make them normal or helper lines. When I find a better way to make this casing, I will remake this video. But for now you can do the same. Select the plane you want to make a hole in and make a new sketch. And make sure you selected the bottom component. Select the middle of the cross and make a circle around it of about 8 millimeters in my case. I don't know where you place your LED, of course. Well, make the same circle at the top. And every time you're using a sketch to make something, Fusion will hide the sketch. So activate the sketch again and you can make a new circle on the same spot. Make another circle, which is actually a half millimeter smaller. We're going to make a slit in the top, so you can press it actually, and it works as a button. Therefore make 2 slits going down. Select this, what I select here, and make it a hole. Also select the inner part and just extrude it like this, and also make it a little bit taper, like just it looks nice, nothing more. Also I think I want the slits to be longer here, so I just pull it down a bit. Okay, great. We have to the bottom now, the top is nearly done. We're going to make it so you can actually put these boxes together and it will fit. Therefore, go to the bottom of the top and select the outer shell again. Select the contour and make a new offset. I want this to be the half of the thickness. Also make a new parameter which indicates the precision of the printer. I'll use 0.1 millimeter here. Then do the same for the bottom part actually. So go to the bottom part and go to the top side of the bottom part and select again the outer layer. Now select the contour of it and make an offset. But you will see you will make an offset of the complete contour. We don't want that, you only want to have the inner part. So just remove all the contours from the outer part. And make a offset of about half the thickness plus this printer precision. And instead of extruding it outwards, we're going to cut it inwards. So if you show now both parts at the same time, you'll see like the top part will slit into the bottom part. Now we're really nearly done. I only want to make something which keep the PCB a little bit in place. The best option would be here to make use of nuts and bolts. But I'm going to make a little pin switch where you can just put your PCB on. And if it's not sturdy enough, I will glue it afterwards, so it will be okay. You want to have the PCB holes on the bottom layer actually. So select the bottom layer and make a new sketch. Then draw a contour over the holes we have on the PCB. You can do this by selecting a 2-point circle and selecting one side of the holes and go to another side so it fits well enough actually. Select your new made circles on the bottom layer and extrude them and taper them a bit. You can go to the render view and look at what you just made. You can see a little slit here between the two parts, which is actually good. Also, if you look at the corners, they are a little bit sharp. You can make them less sharp by making a fillet. Select those corners and select the fillet option, which is on the modify. Now the box is actually done, but I want to change something. And because it's a CAD program, we can easily do that. Go back to the model view, and at the bottom you see this slider. Just slide it back a bit so those extrusions we made to fit those two boxes together is gone. By sliding this, we are actually going back in time. Select the sketch icon 2 times, so you go to the sketch and can modify it. I actually am a little bit afraid that the two sides do not fit together very well, so I will cut the corners of it, so we have a little bit more tolerance. If we have straight flaps, they can move a bit. To do so, I will make a new line at those locations here, and make 2 new lines at the other side of the box. Now I will go one option further to the extrusion, and I will deselect the parts I don't want to extrude. Just keep what you want, and when done, drag the part at the bottom to the end again. So now we made a change after actually the model was completed. To 3D print it, expand the make menu. We need a STL. The 3D print function here explains to you that it will make STL, so you can print it. Press it, select the component you want to make STL from, so start with the top part, press the OK button and choose a name for your file. Do the same thing for the bottom part.